Hello, I'm Phil and welcome to the Who's He video podcast. One thing has puzzled me during Jodie Whittaker's last series of Doctor Who. While a massive improvement on her first series, viewing figures on the face of it appeared to be dropping off sharply. No one was really talking about it and it arrived and left with little fanfare, despite the game-changing events of Jo Martin's Doctor and the revelations of where the Doctor actually came from. So why aren't people connecting with the show anymore? Well, to be fair, this is nothing new for Doctor Who. Fans have come and gone throughout the show's history, and I lost touch with the show when Colin Baker took over the role. And as for Sylvester McCoy, I practically saw nothing of his tenure. But this was nothing to do with Doctor Who itself. I, at that point in my life, just wasn't interested in the show anymore. Basically, I grew out of it. And this happens to a lot of fans. They either grow out of it, just don't like a new Doctor, or the way the show looks and feels. But there was an awful lot of focus on Jodie Whittaker's take on the Doctor. Why is this? Well, one of the reasons being proffered is that, well, she's a woman. The hashtag Not My Doctor Brigade are still dead against her casting and will not accept her in the role. And for my money, this is purely down to misogyny. The other reason is Chris Chibnall. While never turning in the best of Doctor Who scripts in recent years, his appointment as showrunner delighted some due to his enormous success with Broadchurch. But those early scripts he submitted after the show relaunched in 2005 were not spectacular by any stretch of the imagination, and his first series as showrunner did little to address that. Apart from a couple of episodes, the series was fairly bland, and its sole mission seemed to be not to offend and please everyone at the same time, and really it failed to fully achieve either. But were those scripts any worse than, say, Time and the Rani, Time Lash or Time Flight? Well, I would say no. Those scripts were far worse than anything in Jodie Whittaker's first series. But moving on to Jodie Whittaker's second series, it was a massive improvement on the first. Genuine peril, script ideas that rightly or wrongly shook the history of Doctor Who to its foundations, and Jodie Whittaker finally getting dialogue that made her feel like the Doctor at last. But still people stayed away. Now I know that people watch TV differently these days. Live TV does not play such an important part in viewing habits, with a lot of people now watching shows on catch-up services. But something was clearly wrong. Is it due to the reaction to the first series? For a lot of fans, it didn't feel like Doctor Who anymore. Sci-fi concepts pushed aside for more socially aware scripts, and this did also carry over to a lesser degree to Chris Chibnall's second series as showrunner. But let's be honest, while Peter Capaldi was a fantastic Doctor and certainly my favourite since the show came back in 2005, audiences didn't really click with him either. And while I'm one of Stephen Moffat's biggest defenders, looking back at the stories from his time on the show, some of those were also less than stellar. And the viewing figures were also pretty poor. So again, I come back to why does Jodie Whittaker receive so much flack? Well, is it the lack of promotion? Chris Chibnall has up until now taken a completely different approach to promoting the show. Gone are the press and fan screenings or specially written promotional trailers of old. His take is complete secrecy, which I'm assuming is to ensure nothing is spoilt when the show airs. And I can understand that. I'm a complete spoilerphobe, so I like this approach. However, the flip side to that is that by not or hardly doing any promotion of the show, it takes it right out of the public consciousness. I mean, I can't remember the last time I heard non-fans talking about the show. I can't remember the last time I saw kids playing Doctor Who in the street. Actually, that's a lie. That would be 2006 when I saw kids playing Daleks and Cybermen outside. So is that the answer? Or is it social media? That loathsome pit of self-righteousness where only single opinion counts and negative comments spread faster than an STD in a brothel. Most of the negativity towards Jodie Whittaker seems to exist in the Twitter and Facebook microcosm, and to be honest, a lot of it is utter rubbish. But what about this? Maybe it's nothing to do with Jodie Whittaker or Chris Chibnall. Perhaps it's that Doctor Who has just run its course. There is a time when every long-running show where ideas are rehashed, once fascinating and threatening villains become parodies of themselves, and TV companies just lose interest and the budgets for each series just get smaller and smaller. So are we heading back into 1989? Is history about to repeat itself? Will the BBC stop making Doctor Who? Well, no. Well, I do think that the Doctor Who bubble has burst and there is no longer the buzz or the hype around the show like during the days of David Tennant and Matt Smith. Doctor Who is still one of the BBC Studio's biggest earners. It's a show sold around the world with a global fan base. And I think a lot of UK fans fail to understand that. It's not written with a sole UK audience in mind. It now has mass global appeal. But at the same time, that unique Britishness of Doctor Who also made it the success it is around the world. So let's narrow this down. Why have people in the UK stopped watching Doctor Who? Well, after talking about it for the last 5 minutes or so, I don't have a clue. All I know is I'm just going to enjoy watching it all the time they make it. Thanks for watching.